there's no bail in New York. It's the bail reform. You know, they have no bail up to attempted murder.
Yeah, can you explain that?
So it's a revolving door of crime. So I saw the beginning stages of it when I was a cop, when I would get declined prosecutions from the ADAs.
Right.
You know, it was like, why are you declining this prosecution? And it was like, some of them were legitimate arrests, but they cherry pick what arrests they want. You know what I mean? It's intricate, but I guess it's been going on forever, you know? It's just the way that the system works. So, you know, the COs, your commanding officer, might fight with the AD. Why are you declining? Everything is okay. And I mean, it would be some serious crimes, you know, aggravated assaults, robberies, and stuff like that happened within the subway system, you know? And they would just decline to prosecute. So the writing was on the wall back then, I guess. And then now, like, you know, after the pandemic, just flew up. Everything up to attempted murder is literally like a revolving door. There's guys that get arrested like 30 times and they're still out on the street.
For felonies.
Yeah, for felonies. Yeah, anything up to attempted murder. So I think like attempted murder might be something that they can give you zero cash bail to get out on, but everything below that, so what's below attempted murder is a lot of felonies below that.
So if I like just pistol whip the guy.
If you rob somebody's phone, that's a felony.
Yeah.
Right?
So I can get out without, I don't even have to put up bail.
Zero cash bail.
Wow.
It's a powder keg, man. It's just waiting for a disaster, you know? Like, if I'm a criminal, especially from another country where I don't even really respect the law like that, the rules or whatever, come here doing whatever I want, why would I care to stop doing it if I'm getting out of jail every time I do this? I mean, all right, it's like work. Like, all right, I'm robbing somebody. I got myself. I did this. Whatever. I got caught today. I got to spend a night in jail. But I'll be out tomorrow, so I'll go back to work. You know, it's all right. You know, it's a revolving door.
And they're figuring that out. Well, they've already figured it out. Yeah,
they figured it out.
And that's why cops are quitting or retiring early at like a record clip.
Dude, what's the NYPD? How old is it? 150 years old, something like that, whatever. I think it was, you know, enacted maybe 1860s. Within the last 5 or 10 years, and don't quote me on this exactly, but within the last 5 or 10 years, has been the biggest exodus of cops from the New York City Police Department in its history since its origination. That's crazy. That's crazy. And the thing is, they're not refilling the ranks of all the guys that are retiring. So not only are you retiring, you're not getting an influx of new people coming in. And the influx that you might be getting is so bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, they're fat Jamaican ladies, as we said. They're TSA workers. And now they're carrying a badge and a gun.
It's the typical motor vehicle employee that all of a sudden has a gun and a shield now. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You know?
It's like,
they lowered the standards so much. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and this guy was a legend in the academy. You know, like he trained everybody. He was in the academy for 25, 30 years. People know who I'm talking about. And I sat on the desk with him one night and we were speaking about it. And he was just saying, these new recruits, I would never want to work with them. Never want to work with them. They can't even get over a wall. So I was like, so what do you do? Like, upper echelons, just tell them to walk around the wall. I'm like, so you passed them?
Yeah.
He's like, what is he going to do? He's being told to do something. We need boost the number.
We need bodies.
What is it that they can't do? Oh, they can do everything except get over the wall. Tell them to close the door and walk around it. It's like those kind of things. You know what I mean? So when you're changing the standards, we called it the JST. They made that super lax. You used to have to run 1.5 miles. I don't even think you have to run anymore. You know, like they took away all these things to kind of get a new influx of candidates, but you're not getting the best of the best. You know, which is really relevant till recent day. I don't know if you just saw, cop was placed on modified duty. Looked like it was in the Bronx. His partner, somebody's recording this on the street. His partner is in a brawl with a guy. They're going at it, whatever. They're fighting back and forth. He's literally so nonchalantly, you wouldn't even thought he was a cop. He's on the radio just standing there, just literally looking around or whatever. Like he's lost in space, watching his partner go toe-to-toe with this guy. Wow. You imagine that?
That's
I'll tell you, if I was a cop with that guy and we got back to the precinct, I would throw hands with him. I'd throw hands with straight up in the locker room. I would throw hands, we're going to fight, me and you. Because you're supposed to have my back like I'm supposed to have yours. You just left me out there. You know, it would be a problem. I have a problem with that.
Did you have to get ones when you were a cop?
It was a little hazing involved in the beginning. It was 2 guys in a unit. And
no, I meant with like a perp.
Oh, me get on one-on-ones? Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you meant like get on one-on-one with another cop. Yeah, all the time.
Knuckle up.
Knuckle up, straight up. Yeah. You'd have to fight. You had to throw hands. Like, hey, get up. Nah, I don't want to get up. Get up, bro. No, I don't want to get up. I'm going to ask you one more time to get up. I used to just do 3. I didn't really like to go. Because once you say it so many times, your words lose power.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
you're telling the guy to get up because you're getting arrested.
Get up. Yeah, you're under arrest. Get up. You. You're under arrest. Get up. I'm going to ask you one more time. And then the hands come. So, I got a background in martial arts when I was a kid and stuff like that. So I train. I'm confident in in my abilities to know how to handle myself. You know what I mean? So, you start fighting. And when you go to grab the arm, the fist comes up right away. You get punched. I've gotten punched in the face. Yeah.
And do you sometimes, did you kind of hope for that? Because you're like, I want to this dude up. I just touch me, bro. Touch me.
Oh, the touch me? Yeah. Not like in that situation when you're under arrest, but like when they egg you on.
That's what I mean.
Like
if somebody gets in your, did anybody do that? Get in your face, push you, and then you just take off on them?
Taunting gets to a point. So I'll tell you a story with one of my old partners. I love this guy to death. He's great. But he's very hands-on. He should have been a cop in the 80s. Right. He smashes people around, doesn't care. Like, bro, are you nuts? You're going to get it's all on camera. I don't give a whatever, We're on one side of we're at 74th Street in Roosevelt. It's an interchange for many trains. So there's one side of the platform, another side of the platform. EF, 7, couple trains stop there. There's a kid on the other side of the platform going like this. He's giving him the finger or whatever, and he's like, all right. And now he's getting a little more vulgar with it, and he's shouting. So my partner can't take it. He should have been a cop in the 80s. I'm telling you, he's a trigger temper. He was a Marine, so he's tough. He comes down the stairs or whatever and starts this kid up. He's like, "What'd you say? You said me?" He's like, "Yeah, you." Punched him right in the mouth.
Wow.
Hit him right in the face. That's he's an old school cop. He got in trouble for it and everything, but.
You know what?
You work with those kind of guys.
I like that.
And that's what you deal with, So there was times, I was always level-headed. I was cool, you know what I mean? But there was times where I got pushed like that. One time I was in Coney Island. And, during the summer detail, they would send some people down there. So one of the sergeants I was working with at the time, whatever, we would do plainclothes stuff and stuff like that. Sometimes just me and him. He was an FIO. So there's a field intelligence officer. So he had the ability to cultivate informants and stuff like that. And he had a direct line to intel. You know what I mean? So anybody that's connected to intel, you're somebody of importance or someone important on the job. You know what I mean? So, we went down to Coney Island once and we were just chilling, man. It was like a regular day and we were in uniform and this guy must have had too much to drink. He starts talking. We were by the boardwalk or whatever. And he goes, my partner, the sergeant goes to arrest one of his friends, right? And he's like, put this guy in cuffs. So when there's a lot of people like that, we got a van waiting because you can't you just got to give him to the van, put him in the van, and then they'll transport him, especially when there's that large crowds or whatever. And this guy was pissed that we locked up his friend. He's like, oh, the whole thing, whatever. Whatever. I was begging for him to touch me or do something because the stuff that he was saying was like we were ready. So we wound up dead arresting him because he put his hands on the sergeant.
Right.
He thought that he could get close enough with all the phone or whatever, and he tapped the sergeant like this, and that's all we needed.
Nice.
And then, we tuned him up a little.
You tuned him up we
tuned him up a little bit.
Right. You get him on the ground.
I start right away with the cuffs. I'll put those cuffs. You want to fight with me? Yeah. I tell him right away, don't fight. Don't fight with me. Or my famous thing was don't make me run. Because I put on some weight, so I wasn't really ready to run. So I was like, don't make me run. Don't make me run. I would yell at them or whatever. And they would kind of mess with their psyche. They wouldn't run.
What was the best fight you had? Meaning what was the
street?
No. I'm talking about where, somebody knuckled up and they were it was like a fair fight. He was almost getting you.
We don't fight fair. I didn't fight fair.
What do you mean? So how
describe it? If I know I'm going to have a problem with you,
I'm a big guy, somebody my size, 6'6", and I'm high out of my mind. I'm on PCP and I'm talking big, and maybe I punch you, I push you. What do you do to me?
There's no knuckle back with you. I'm taking out my ass and I'm going straight for your shins. I'm going to swipe your legs out of you. I'm going to hit you as hard as I can or whatever until you feel that pain that you know what I mean, that stinging pain or whatever, or. Well, I mean, you asked me two questions here. So, there's one that I could think of, a brawl that went crazy, but then a one-on-one, there wasn't any one-on-one. We don't fight fair.
Right.
If in the NYPD, we're taught not to fight fair.
Yeah.
If you're 1, we're 2. If you're 3, we're 4. If you're 5, we're 10. That's the way it goes. We don't lose. We don't lose. It's that simple. Biggest gang in New York City.
Right.
We don't lose. So, that being said, there was, some significant fights, but if it was a big guy like you, let's say, or somebody that I was like, damn, I'm going to have a problem with this guy or whatever, it was mace, asp, and sometimes the mace sucks because you don't want, if you mace a guy and you're wrestling around with him, you get it in your eyes, it's all over your clothes, and it makes it 10 times harder to fight.
What's the asp?
The asp is the expendable baton.
Right.
Yeah, extendable baton.
So if you think there's a chance that you could lose in a stand-up fade, you're taking your baton out and taking their legs.
I would already have it in my hand sometimes if I knew I was going to fight. Because if you hold that and you hit somebody, if you punch with that, it's almost like brass knuckles or something. You know, you have like a roll of quarters in your hand. Boom. Oh, it does damage.
That thing hurts.
Yeah, it does damage. Yeah. I've hit people with that, man. I don't know. Yeah. I hit a guy once that was so high, bro. I don't know how he didn't get affected from it. He was off his mind. It was probably off of PCP, right? I tapped him. I tapped myself with that thing and I see stars. I tapped him just bunk, like one of those or whatever, and it didn't even get his attention, okay? Now, you know, they teach you in the academy, like swing like this, like, swing like this. Whatever. I'm baseball batting this guy's shins, like, like Babe Ruth style, you know what I mean? Going hard. And that just basically maybe, you know, it was like somebody gnawing at your clothes like this, like that kind of annoyance, you know, like that's how it affected him. So, that guy, you can't take him down. You got to call ESU. They can wrap him up in a burrito, called the burrito.
What about your taser though?
Wouldn't even have, I didn't have a taser at that time.
If you're playing clothes.
We were allowed to carry them. At that time, I think it was only sergeants that had them, but we were allowed to carry them in plain clothes.
Because I feel like that's an effective thing for like.
I've seen tasers not work on people. Really? I've seen a guy, the sergeant was chasing this guy one time, and I swear this, he dropped his radio. It's the only reason why I knew he was chasing him. I saw his radio on the floor. I lost sight of him. And I go down to get the radio, and the sergeant's running after this guy. He tased him. I saw the things go out. The guy ripped him out of his thing, kept running, ripped him right out of his side and kept running. Who knows what drugs he was on?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but I have seen the taser work, which is kind of cool. Same thing, you know, they lock up and they stop.
I mean, like, and I know sometimes there's accidental deaths, but like, we don't know what happened just before the cameras started rolling. Dude, it's like, yeah, man, it's a tough job. If you're doing it right. If you're actually like trying to help, it seems like a tough job. But if you're a fat Jamaican lady who seems like they're hiring, it's like they're going to look the other way while their partner's getting their ass beat by a dude that's been smoking angel dust, you know?
I think that's exactly what's going on. The cops are getting villainized, whether they do their job or they don't do the job.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if I'm going to get paid either way, why am I even going to do anything? And that's shameful, you know, because you have to take some kind of police action. Like I said, was there times that I turned my head to certain things? Sure. But serious crimes, or like if there was ever somebody getting hurt, then I definitely wouldn't turn my head. You know what I mean? Like, you're there to help, you know? There was some scumbag bosses though that would, like, you know, like if you saw somebody like trying to wave you down, they'd be like, keep driving, you know? Yeah, there was a lot of that.
I got to get to my kid's little league game. I got to get to the bar.
No, I want to go home. Whatever. I got something to do. There was a lot of that, but you know, I guess with the cameras, you know, it kind of changed up a little bit. You know,
okay, so when did body cams come into play?
I want to say the pilot program came in 15, 16, somewhere around there, but it wasn't completely rolled out to the department until I want to say maybe 18.
Okay,
you know?
But you're plain clothes.
I'm plain clothes.
By this time.
We didn't have to have them. It wasn't necessary.
Because you're plain clothes.
Right.
So you obviously enjoyed that more because you're busting higher level crime. Did you ever feel, man, it seems pretty cool to be plain clothes. I don't know. I got to be honest with you. It seems like you get to be in your own like spy movie all the time.
1000%, man. It was you could do pretty much whatever you wanted throughout the day, you know, with some leeway. You know what I mean? Especially when there was no cameras, no tracker.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun, but at the same time, you had responsibilities. You weren't just in the crime team for show. You know, they wanted they wanted numbers from you. They expected numbers. There was guys that have been kicked off the crime team. A lot of guys that get kicked off the crime team. They think like, oh, it's cool now. You know, when you hit that mark, you're kind of like separated from the regular, you know, beat cops or the you know, the patrol cops or whatever. It's almost like a step up. You know what I mean? So it's a coveted position. In the beginning, I didn't even really look at that. I actually wanted to go field intelligence officer. I wanted to be the assistant to the field intelligence officer, cultivate some informants. I'm good with talking with people. You know what I mean? So it was like I related to some of those guys from the street. I could talk with them. I could probably maybe turn them. You know, there was a lot of guys that used to run in, and I used to see them out in the bars. I didn't out them and let them know that they were informants and stuff, whatever, but these guys are actively talking to the cops while doing criminal shit. in the Queens, Brooklyn, surrounding areas.
What kind of rat is committing subway crimes? What kind of CI is?
A guy who gets caught for something so stupid that he's actually going to do jail time for it because of his record will spill the beans faster than anyone. For a misdemeanor, that might be like, yo, this is my 10th misdemeanor, or like, I got a felony case. They told me if I get locked up, I'm doing the full felony. Like, you don't know some of their cases. You know, they might have attempted murder case, and the conditions of their parole, they're not even allowed to be out of their house. Right. So how are you going to explain to your parole officer or whoever, the judge, that you just got locked up for theft of service or smoking weed in public, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because a lot of times, like I said, back then we used to be able to run names over the radio, so it was different. Now they got phones and. Right. So if Central came back over the radio and you were waiting for a disposition, you didn't know the guy's record. You didn't know what he did. She just told you he's going or he's not. So if he's not going, you let him go. Now they pull up your name. These cops can see every single thing you did, and it's a different. Right. You know, you could just get arrested.
But then, what information would they have that a subway cop would even want? I guess is
depends on where you're from.
That's
depends
true.
on what neighborhood you're in. That's the thing. Everybody takes the subway. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're from those neighborhoods where what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I brought an informant. I cultivated this informant. I told him, I was like, he was a dancer. Yeah, he was from the Bronx, young Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx. Right. Okay, he's probably still out there. Who knows? I introduced him to the FIO, and I was like, this kid's a dancer, but he wants to talk. They get paid for this. So it's kind of incentivized too for them. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, and he would give us like, yo, all right, this guy, this guy just dances. This guy robs people. This guy sells drugs. You were getting all the information. I see. You know what I mean? So it's like, you let them live. Yeah. You know what I mean? But then you were getting it on the back end with all the information. So when I had cultivated him, I thought that was kind of cool. You know, I was like, wow, you know, he's giving us a lot of shit. And it was scumbag guys. Like, you've seen their records. You know, they had like dirty crimes. You know what I mean? So it was like, I didn't mind. Like, yeah, put that in jail. You know, he deserves it. So it was like, you know, that was the cool part about it.
That's what I mean. And we were saying that off camera, like and to the people in the neighborhood, the wise guys that you grew up with, they probably wouldn't have looked down on you for choosing to be a cop, especially a subway cop, because everybody, including high level criminals, want the streets to be clean. They want these like low level scumbags in jail. We all want that. I wanted that as a high-level drug trafficker. I didn't want, you know, I'd be like, yeah, good cops, take care of, you know, let me live in peace.
Right.
You know?
I agree with you. I mean, and that was a sentiment with the guys I grew up with and a lot of those guys. For me, it was just a little different though, you know, because regardless, even though I was a solid dude, I always have been, and I never rattled, nobody ever got in trouble with the things that I did, you know, and I still would see these guys. It's just a bad look sometimes to say that you're wearing blue. Right. Because you just in the back of your head never know, is this guy going to choose me or is he going to choose the blue? You know what I mean? So people distance themselves from you. You know, it's just natural.
Right. Did that hurt? Like, did that kind of, to have the old neighborhood sort of turn their back on you?
I wouldn't say they turned their back on me. It did bother me that some guys would be like, oh, don't say that. You know, he's a cop. Like, that annoyed me. Because I'm like, I don't give a what you're doing right now. You can do whatever you want, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm a cop. That's my job. You know what I mean? I'm not a cop. I'm Tony. You know what I mean? That's my name. I do what I want to do. That's my thing. But, you know, I don't bleed blue and take it home with me. And that's my life. That wasn't me. I wasn't that guy. Yeah. So you could smoke weed and I wouldn't care. At the time, weed was illegal. You know, let's say things like that. You could have a dice game. What the would I care? You know what I mean? Maybe I would want to get in. I couldn't gamble illegally, but the things that I loved to do as a kid are now very legal as long as you're doing with the government. You know what I mean? So that's what I meant when I said harmless vices and harmless crimes, like things like that. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like those guys, even though a lot of them, you know, they were sons of made men, or like the guy three houses down. I grew up down. The guy that grew up 3 houses away from me is doing 30 years right now. You know what I mean? He's with the West Side. You know, so. You know, he owned a local deli. There was things or whatever that, you know, I avoided just for my own well-being and their own well-being, because, you know, when you get on the NYPD, you're not allowed to associate with known criminals. Right. That's one of the rules. It's a very loose rule, though.
Yeah.
Very loose, you know, because you'll see, like I said before, with my time in the catering, you know, one guy's an outlaw biker, the other guy's a lieutenant, you know. One guy's an FBI agent, the other's a mobster, and they're at the same party. So go figure.
Right. But, you know, working subway crimes, I imagine that part of the police force there's not that much opportunity for corruption.
Exactly.
When you're collaring, you know, fentanyl addicts and people swiping cell phones. So, which
is exactly, you're pretty quick, Johnny. That's exactly one of the reasons why I figured it would be one of the best places for me. Right. Because I hung out in so many different neighborhoods. I can never put myself in a position to say like, damn, I'm going to be working in the 7-9 precinct or whatever. Like I know Tyrone smells weed out of that spot, whatever, you know. I can't work in the 104 in Middle Village because I know Vinny's got the cafe that I like to go in and they're running numbers out of it. So it was like things like that.
So many conflicts of interest. And you were pulling up in a Mercedes to work. So imagine being from the 7-9.
Oh, they would have thought I was on a take.
Totally.
Yeah. I did well for myself before, you know, I was on the job. You know, I saved some money and I did all right. And, you know, my thing was cars. I like cars or whatever. So I had a nice Mercedes. I had a Lexus, a nice Mercedes, you know. But cops are haters, man. They're the biggest haters. Sure. You'll notice, like, the number one cops that call, I have a friend that works in IAB. The number one people that call on cops are other cops.
Snitching on them.
That's the way it is. He said the public rarely even calls. It's one cop usually calling about another.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's a supervisor, so all that passes by his desk.
It seems like the gossip in the police force is like what makes the job bearable. It's
high
like
school
how you
with
pass
guns, man.
For sure.
That's what we call it. High school with guns.
Who's having an affair with this other cop? They're all each other. It's you know, this guy is dating this politician's, you know, ex or whatever.
That's his his wife's a chief, or this one, or his father's so and so. It's all the same.
Yeah. So the years are moving by. Did you see the encroachment of fentanyl moving up to the pandemic, working plain clothes? Was that a big thing out there?
So the concentrated areas for the drugs, okay, and you would see a lot of drug addicts in the system. And these are not the people you're stopping. You jump that turnstile, you walk to that gate, you be my guest. I'm not stopping you. You know what I mean?
Because you just don't even want to touch them.
Don't even want to get close. Like I seen one guy picking bugs off himself, literally like going in his pants and flinging off bugs. Like, you know,
every New Yorker's biggest fear, bed bugs. This guy's walking around with them.
Forget it. And he's got them all on his crotch and everything. You want to touch that and bring that home? You know how many times it was bed bugs outbreaks in the precinct? You would get chastised or whatever if you brought back somebody that looked like that. They didn't like it. You got punished if you walked in the door with that. Somebody knew that they assigned you that collar because maybe you didn't have one for the month, or you pissed somebody off and they called it a bag. It's like, who brought in this bag?
Wow.
It was like, like you stink up the whole cells and it's just terrible.
Okay, so for the junkies that are just running around the subway system, you do nothing about them.
Pretty much now. They got carte blanche. And most cops will tell you this, unless there is a homeless initiative, we'll call homeless outreach and they'll come and get them and stuff like that. But there's really nothing besides loitering that's illegal about walking around the subway station. You know what I mean? Or hopping on one cart and then going to the other one, doing it all night. So when fentanyl came around, what you saw was a change in that to an extent. It was more like The Walking Dead, you know, like zombie land. You saw the dope fiend lean, you know, like you saw that on 125th and Lex, like I said, that's methadone.
Classic heroin, New
symptoms,
York
behavior.
culture,
Right. Guy touches his head down to his ankles, comes back up or whatever. He looks like a gymnast. That's the dope fiend lean. You know what I mean? So
Pilates.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you still saw that. That was there. But those are those old addicts that been shooting this stuff since the 80s. They don't die. They're going to be there. They're still there. The new group, the younger group, was when you saw the fentanyl. And that's where you saw like ravage behavior. And I mean, the hot spot for it in the city, in my opinion, was 125th and Lex.
Okay,
so Harlem. The old Harlem. Yeah. You know, it was a run on the 6th line. Once you walked upstairs, and we used to get detailed there all the time. If you worked in Manhattan, if you worked an event, you knew that you maybe had to be there, and it sucked because it was such a corner, but there was always a detail there as far as transit.
So are you, and these are like young people? Younger
people? What's younger than like your average maybe 50, 60-year-old heroin addict that's been around the street. You know, he's got like maybe 20 years on the street. We're talking like the newer generation, maybe like 5, 10, maybe tops years on the street,
Yeah.
a couple years on the street, running and hustling or whatever, you saw them and the deterioration of them, you know, and you'd ask them what they do, you know.
Yeah.
Remember it was like bath salts they were doing that one time? Guy was eating somebody's face, something like that. That's the level of behavior.
Wow.
Excuse me. That's the level of behavior that you saw in those areas.
Wow.
From
fentanyl.
From fentanyl, yeah.
And did you witness some of that? Did you call her anything that was super like fentanyl driven?
No, thank God, I never had to deal.
Did you ever
that.
take drugs off people?
Yes, I had a lot of drug arrests.
What did you see?
Heroin, crack, mostly.